2006, on the campus of the University of Washington, a scientist did something strange. John Marsluff and his team put on rubber caveman masks. Then they began trapping wild crows. It was routine research. Catch the bird, attach a numbered band to its leg, release it. The crows had no idea why this was happening. They only knew one thing. The person wearing that mask was dangerous. Then they were released. A few days later, the researchers came back, but this time they wore different masks. Sometimes the same caveman mask, sometimes a completely different, neutral face. What happened next stunned the entire scientific community. Every single time the caveman mask appeared, the crows erupted. They screamed, they dive-bombed, they mobbed the person wearing it, swooping low, scolding loudly, calling for backup. But when a neutral mask walked by, even worn by the exact same researcher, the crows completely ignored them. This wasn't random. It happened every single time, at every location, with complete consistency. But the real twist was still coming. 5 years later, researchers returned to the same locations, wearing the same caveman mask. In the very first experiment, only about 20% of crows reacted, roughly 1 in 5. 5 years later, that number had tripled. And here's what made this remarkable. Many of the crows reacting now had never been trapped. Some weren't even born when the original incident happened. So how did they know? The answer is something researchers didn't expect. Crows tell each other. When one crow identifies a threat, it doesn't just remember it alone. It teaches its offspring. It warns the rest of the flock. This information passes from one generation to the next. But this was only the beginning of what scientists wanted to understand. The next question was bigger. What exactly is happening inside a crow's brain when it sees a dangerous face? To find out, researchers used brain imaging technology on a fully awake wild crow. What they found matched human brain activity so closely that researchers were genuinely stunned. When the crow saw the dangerous face, its amygdala activated. The amygdala is the exact same brain region responsible for processing fear in humans. In crows, this same region, in the same way, does exactly the same job. It means that when a crow looks at you with fear, it isn't simple instinct. It's emotional memory. The exact same biological process that happens in a traumatized human brain. This discovery raised a deeper question for researchers. If crows can hold on to a memory this specific for this long, what else might they be capable of remembering? The answer turned out to be almost everything that matters to their survival. Crows remember which trees produced food in past seasons. They remember which humans walked through their territory regularly, and which ones only showed up once. They even remember the exact locations where they buried food, sometimes returning to those spots months later. And crows weren't the only birds doing this. In South Korea, researchers at Seoul National University discovered something almost by accident. A graduate student named, but if that same person walks past without looking, the crow barely reacts at all. This means he tried switching hats with his colleague, hoping to confuse the birds. It didn't work. The magpies weren't fooled for a second. One of the lead scientists later said something remarkable. It is astonishing that a magpie can recognize one individual human out of 20,000 people walking across that campus every single day. This pattern doesn't stop with crows and magpies. This suggests something researchers are still trying to fully understand. Crows may not just be mockingbirds. Remember the person who disturbed their nest months earlier and will harass them specifically if they return. Pigeons, birds most people barely notice, have been shown in lab studies to reliably distinguish familiar human faces from strangers. But not every encounter with a crow ends in conflict. Researchers have also documented something gentler. Crows that are regularly fed by the same person often bring back small gifts, shiny objects, bottle caps, sometimes coins. This isn't simple memory. It's something closer to a social transaction. The crow seems to understand. This human is someone I trust.
And if you've ever done something...
John Marsloff, the same scientist behind the original crow study, was once approached by people connected to the United States military. Their question was simple. Could crows be trained to help locate Osama bin Laden? It tells you something important. Even military researchers had recognized just how powerful and precise a crow's facial recognition really is. And it's not only about faces. Researchers discovered that crows pay close attention to behavior too. If a person walks directly toward a crow while making clear eye contact, the bird takes off almost immediately. This means a crow isn't just identifying who you are, it's reading what you intend to do. Some researchers believe this behavioral reading goes even further. When crows observed one human acting aggressively toward another crow, while a second human simply walked by without incident, other crows in the area, ones who never even witnessed the event, began reacting cautiously to that same person days later. This suggests something researchers are still trying to fully understand. Crows may not just be storing memories of individuals, they may be building something closer to a community-wide reputation system. So how is all of this possible inside a brain so much smaller than ours? A crow's brain is tiny compared to a human brain, but researchers discovered something crucial. The density of neurons packed into that small space is extraordinarily high. The brain is small, but it isn't simple. So the next time a crow is watching you from a fence or a power line or the edge of a parking lot, remember this. It isn't just looking at you. It's remembering you. And if you've ever done something to harm one,
be careful. It won't forget. And neither will its children.